Okay, in this video, let's talk about the Bitcoin Reserve Fund, the one that we president talked about last year. And there also is a potential act in Congress coming in and what I know about it. So first of all, it's so important to understand, words, what they mean. What the heck is Bitcoin? I think this is the first question that needs to be answered by the court. What is Bitcoin? There's no clarity on this word. What is Bitcoin? And we've got to get into a court. Somebody's got to bring a court action and get the court to define. Let's define what Bitcoin means, because people throw the word around and it means a lot of different things. To a lot of different people. So it's I think that's the first issue that's got to be solved. But let's just play along with it for now. Basically the Congress. Okay, there's a lady in Congress in the Senate. She was at the Bitcoin BTC conference last year in Nashville where Trump spoke at. And then Trump came out and she kind of talked about it before, like doing a Bitcoin reserve fund. And then Trump kind of stood out and said, yeah, he liked the idea of it. Now, what she said on a recent podcast, which I'll post at the end of this video, is that first it's going to start with the stable coins. And those two stablecoin acts going into law right now, which I will post here at the end as well, that I've talked about. They're potentially going to law. They're debating them. They're going to go through Congress, and they look like they got a lot of support by, bipartisanship, so they'll likely get passed. That's going to be the very first thing. Clarity on what stablecoins are, regulatory compliance on those. Then potentially going into a Bitcoin Reserve Act. Now, I like to push back on doing anything with Bitcoin until we first define Bitcoin. Because it's going to come back and bite everyone in the ass later unless we understand what it means. And okay, so she's coming in and she believes, I don't even know if she understands what it means, but this is a super important question for the long term. So the president's talking about like a sovereign wealth fund, a Bitcoin reserve fund, so let's just say, throw the idea around there, which has been thrown around, which is doing a Bitcoin reserve fund with all of the, right now, there's like 200,000 in Bitcoin from old Bitcoin, like pre-2017 Bitcoin. So like the grandfather Bitcoin. That's the true original Bitcoin. I think pre-2017. That is in a cold storage wallet somewhere there. I think it's in the, right now it's in U.S. Marshals have control over it. Now it's from like Silk Road and other operations that went for forfeiture. So that's where it would start potentially. Okay, all those old Bitcoin addresses before 2017. These are all grandfathered Bitcoins, so this is all genuine Bitcoin in there. And then, start with that. Then we're talking about bringing in like a gold certificates and doing those. But on anything new about Bitcoin, if it's going to be post 2017, it's got to be defined. So my only, hopefully that we can push forward intent and put this out there to the metaverse, into the YouTube land and to Congress and anybody who watches it, is let's define what Bitcoin means first. And after 2017, there was a major change in Bitcoin. In 2017, you had one operation that went off and became something that is basically just a small blocks. They've got, high fees, and it has very little utility. It's not really used. Like, what is it for? And I'm talking about BTC. What is it for? What does it do? Well, it has a value. Okay, fine. And then you got Bitcoin Cash. Roger Ver came out, kind of forked that off, or had a split with that. And that's come out. Now it's really kind of quieted down. Roger Ver's facing an indictment. Doesn't really, has anything to do with Bitcoin Cash, but it's really quieted down. And they basically separated they changed the protocol a little bit to make it to where you're not able to see all the transactions, all the digital signatures on the transaction. So it's not technically a true Bitcoin transaction. Definitely the BTC, they separated the digital signatures. So there's no real receipt that you can guarantee that that's a Bitcoin transaction. And then you've got the original, Bitcoin chain, which is going all the way back to the Genesis block, which is under the ticker BSV. It's not very popular because, people associate, they have what's called CDS, Craig Wright derangement syndrome. They associate BSV with Craig Wright, and then they see red. Oh, Craig Wright. Yeah. And they lose their mind with it. But it's rolling out what's called Terranode right now. In the next couple of, I would say, weeks now, maybe it's out now. I really don't. It's very, very happening very quick. And ultimately, it's going to be doing about 1 million transactions. It's already seen it testing at 1 million transactions a second. So it's leaps and bounds above everything else. And so when it comes to actually using Bitcoin, using the blockchain, that's where the scalable Bitcoin, big block Bitcoin, or the ticker BSV is going to come into play. And this conversation really has to be had out in public, in front of Congress, in front of the president, in a courtroom, and understand what's going on here. Because I'm not saying that one is wrong, or that I want people to be hurt or injured. I think that everybody should have a way forward in this, and I'm really trying to bring unity on this. So, but having clarity on it will really help bring unity in the future, so we understand what Bitcoin is. So that's my a little background on the potential Bitcoin reserve. I'll put a link to the video. You can watch the one that she did. And also I'll put a link to the stablecoin video that I put as well. All right. I'll see you at the top. This is Gavin. Hit the ones.